Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell.
The gentleman from California is recognized for 3 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support H.R. 1344, the Helping Heroes Fly Act. I'm a proud sponsor of this bipartisan legislation introduced by my friend Congresswoman Gabbard. Congresswoman Gabbard is a person who knows a thing or two about what it's like to be a combat veteran who comes back from the battlefield and who has to use our airports. Fortunately, she is back in one piece, but we know all too well many of our veterans are not, and this bill eases their ability to move throughout our airports. It would extend benefits similar to the expedited pre-check program to severely injured or disabled veterans and members of the armed services who fly through TSA screening at airports. As it stands now, many of our nation's wounded warriors report that screening protocols aren't properly standardized at airports around the nation. Consistent treatment by screeners would help create certainty for the newly injured and give greater attention to addressing their privacy concerns. Despite TSA guidance to the contrary, some veterans report having been required to take off prosthetics in public view during screenings. This is a difficult process that our injured and veterans should not have to endure. In January, I met with Staff Sergeant Jason Ross from Livermore, California, from my district. Sergeant Ross was severely injured by an IED while honorably serving in Afghanistan and lost both of his legs. This bill would help ease the transition back home for wounded warriors and heroes like Sergeant Ross. The continued sacrifice and selfless service of our nation's heroes, a group Sergeant Ross exemplifies with distinction, is immeasurable. That's why we as a nation must live up to our responsibilities to properly support the men and women of our armed forces when they return home. We must leave no soldier behind, and we owe our troops more than just thank you for your service. Today, it is too easy to spend money, and we spend over $1 billion a year recruiting people into our armed services while we are not doing enough to take care of them and keep the promises we make, whether it's providing GI funding or making sure that disability claims are taken care of. Currently, the average wait time for a disability claim ranges between 316 and 327 days. This is far too long. The Oakland VA, which serves the veterans in my district, has one of the worst backlogs in the nation. At a time when our wounded warriors are left waiting so long to receive the care that they have rightly earned, helping to ensure that our nation's heroes are able to travel seamlessly and without hindrance when they return home is a step we must take. I want to thank again my colleague, Congresswoman Gabbard from Hawaii, for sponsoring this bill. I'll always support legislation that helps our returning service members and their families receive the care and thanks they were promised and have earned. I urge my colleagues to vote for the Helping Heroes Fly Act, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back.